Hello and welcome to the Graduate School Info session hosted by the Graduate School of Science and Technology Policy. Thank you for joining us. I am Ahmed, the Master Student Representative, and I'll be your host for today. Since we have a huge crowd already today, so let's dive right into the main session part without any further delay. Please join me in giving a warm round of applause. Welcome to our department head, Professor Moon Choi. Please, Professor Moon Choi.
안녕하세요. Hello, everyone. It's just great to see you, everyone. And I'm Moon Che. I'm the head of the graduate school. And uh, I'll give an overview about our graduate school. And if you have any questions, you can ask later. So, about our graduate school, our mission statement is that we are create science and technology policy knowledge to create a diverse, democratic, and just society. So, we really value the social justice and also from local to global towards action and in science, our learning is continuous. So, unlike other departments, we really emphasize the horizontal, the relationship, among our STP members, even the faculty members or graduate student. Also, I would like to emphasize our the vision. We are aspires to humanize science, technology, and innovation with a critical understanding of evidence. So some students often ask questions, what the difference would be between the management school or business school and our policy school. And I think the important difference is about the emphasis on the public policy, social value and social justice, and also humanized technology and science. And these are the key the words about what we are doing. So you can see some words like disaster or risk, aging, innovation policy, synthetic biology. So we have a very broad scope of research field as we have very diverse faculty members and also the graduate student. And we have 10 tenured faculty members, and also we are recruiting two more this year. And you can see that we have a very diverse background from, the philosophy and history and to the political scientist and sociology. So, you will learn more about each faculty member's research, also their research group later. And we have also the adjunct faculty and visiting scholars. And last year, we had the MOU with the Georgia Tech School of Public Policy. So we have a close relationship with the Georgia Tech. And you can see the Professor Cassidy Sugimoto and also the Professor John Walsh, the very distinguished scholar in the research policy. So you student will have an opportunity to work with the professors in the US or Japan and other countries. And also Professor Dong Park, and he is adjunct faculty, but his primary position is the senior policy advisor in Google. He will teach the internet policy this summer. So if you are interested in, the large corporate policy in, AI or internet, this is a great opportunity for you to learn more about it. And also Professor Brian An is coming to visit us for 1 year from this the June. So his expertise about the energy and nuclear policy. So you have an opportunity to work with them. Also, not the last one, but the Professor Tim Park. And as you know, that he was the minister in international relations, and he's teaching a class this semester about the science diplomacy, and we really, put our the uh, investment and also initiative about developing the research in the field of science diplomacy. Okay, so when I talked about our faculty members or research field, people might ask questions. So what? So what kind of classes can I, learn from STP? Maybe policy analysis or, the economic metrics. Yes, we offer those classes, but also we cover very diverse topics. So you can see that, human, machine, and society, one of the most popular class, and also biomedical and health policies. So we offer the from undergraduate courses to the doctor level. So please take a look at the syllabus, and you can access those information through our the KAIST website. And about the scholarship, we are very well funded graduate schools. So we have many offer many good research assistantship and also the teaching assistantship. So here are some examples for international scholarship program, and also we have a global presidential scholarship. Usually one student per year, and some of our students also have external scholarship like Hyundai Motor 정몽구 Global Scholarship or GK. And also one of our students got SBS Research Foundation grant too. And it's varied how much a student to get through their RACM TAship, but based on our survey, it's between the 220만 원 and 300만 원. So we are very well funded, almost like equivalent to the engineering school, yeah. But there's some variation across the student. And about the admission requirements, please take a look at the KAIST admission website, also our website. So it's very standardized, the KAIST application materials, and you needed to write the statement of purpose. But not just introduce about just how good person you are. We really look forward to your intellectual inquiry. What kind of research questions or topics you want to explore during your master's or doctoral student, not just introduce to how good person you are. So it's very important to really focus about your research questions or your research inquiries. Okay. And also we got a lot of questions. So after graduation, so what STP students usually do after graduation. And I'm very confident to say that we are very successful to, job placement. Recently, our one of our alumni, the Dr. Sung Eun Kim, just got a tenure track position in Korea University and, tenure track. And also Professor Yu Jung Shin is in the Jeonbuk University. And also, we have, the strategy department in many the government affiliate research institute like KIST or ETRI or other institute. We have several our doctors in that the institute, and also we have a couple of our alumni in abroad, and some of them had postdoctoral position or teaching position in university in other countries, and also there's the student who got job in the private sector, for example, in Naver and the AI policy fellow, and also Boston Consulting Group consultant. So, when you think about, what the job would be like after getting a degree from policy, and there are many different options, and, we are very successful in, the job placement. Okay, so now I'm going to give the mic to our student who can share their experience in STP.
Thank you, Professor Choi. That was a fantastic overview of the department. Moving forward to the next segment of our session today, I'll be inviting two students to share their experiences, one from the master's and the other from the PhD. For master's, I would like to invite my friend, my colleague, Yasmin. Dear Yasmin, please come on stage and enlighten us. Thank you.
Okay. Hi, everyone. My name is Yasmin, and I'm in my second semester of my master's here at STP. So this is a little bit of my background. I'm originally from the UK, and I majored in immunology in my bachelor's. My advisor is Professor Pomson Park, and that's actually a lab photo that we took recently in preparation for today. And these are some of my research interests. So I wanted to talk a little bit about how I came to STP and why I chose to come to STP in the first place. As you can see, I don't have a background in anything policy related or really anything related to what I study or what I research now. And I'm aware that there might be a few students like that who maybe came from sciences or engineering and are unsure if like this is the right fit. But many of our students here at STP are also from unrelated backgrounds. Like a lot of people have done sciences or engineering or even like other unrelated humanities subjects. So we all understand the sort of learning curve that it takes to get used to and to understand the subjects that we do here. So I just wanted to say not to worry too much if that's the position you're in right now. So in the UK, the undergraduate degree is a bit different, I think, from Korea in that you apply directly to your degree, your major, and you only take classes that are relevant to that major. So I only did things in the biology department. But I was very fortunate in that I was able to take a class in my first semester of first year that was called Science and Society from the Center for History of Science, Medicine, and Technology. And we basically learned about postmodern science and its role in society and how it's influenced by society. And I really enjoyed that class. It was one of my favorite classes, but it was really really different from the rest of my degree. And I even received an email from that professor asking me to change my degree and join his program, which was called Science and Society. But I politely declined and I said I wanted to be an immunologist, which is a little ironic given where I am right now. Um, but when I graduated and I was thinking back to what I should do after graduation and what I wanted to do and what I was interested in, I thought back to this class and how much fun I found it and how interesting I thought it was. And that's how I ended up here. And so basically what the whole point of that was is that even if you don't really have background in this subject or you don't really know anything about it, even if you have just like a little bit of interest, then it's worth applying and seeing how you fare here. And so the next thing I'll talk about is choosing a master's advisor. So for master's program, you don't actually have to pick your advisor until you get here. You get about a month to a month and a half to choose. And I put some of the stuff that I thought about or that I was told to think about when I was choosing my advisor. So obviously the major thing is research interests, like what you want to research and what you want to do. As you saw, we have a really diverse and really big variety of research interests here. But also things to think about what you want to do afterwards. So how you want to spend your time here. And also a lot of the professors have very interesting research projects as well. So if there's anything like that you want to pursue, it's usually good to think about that as well. And one of my top recommendations is to speak to students once you get here, because the students are probably your best resource besides the professors to hear about what they're interested in, what they're doing, and to sort of figure out where you should go and who you should talk to. I know that I got signposted a lot by a lot of the students here about who to talk to and who might be better, based on my interests and my background. And obviously talk to the professors as well. They're the best resource. And then finally, I got asked to talk about accommodation here as well. So that's just like an estimate, on the average for how much it costs. And you can also see more at the dormitory website. And there's also a lot of student cafeterias on campus and fast food restaurants. And also with the STP community, we're a very friendly bunch. We do regular department dinners, and we even had a strawberry party yesterday. Yeah, we're all very friendly. So thank you.
Thank you, Yasmin. Thank you so much. Now I'd like to invite my senior, my Sunway, Seunghyun Kevin Kim, to please come and enlighten us and share his experience being a PhD student at STP.
Okay, hello. My name is Seunghyun Kim, a PhD student at STP and also at a little lab called D-Lab. So I have two topics to talk about today: to introduce our lab, Professor Kyungyeol Park's D-Lab, and to share my experiences and tips for applying for a PhD program here. Okay, so this is basically the table of contents, academic habit. Okay, so who is this guy talking to you? Actually, as Yasmin and Professor Choi mentioned earlier, STP is full of people who took unexpected turns on their journeys to here. So if you talk to anyone, you'll ask yourself, what's he or she doing here? And that's what we ask ourselves and each other every day. So and we highly encourage people to take highly unexpected turns. So if someone told me that I would be in an engineering school with a lot of at KAIST with professors from various fields, I would have laughed because I'm originally from political science. I spent my time as a program officer and team leader in international development. So I'm as far from STEM field as you can be. So very, very 문과, very 문과. But here I am. So my work experience is at Career Development Institute. I worked in development mostly, and I spent most of my time in policy consultation, not in science and technology fields. But here I am. So basically, this was my life before coming here. Traveling abroad, meeting people, policymakers, and policymakers from diverse fields, from finance to infrastructure, energy, and also science and technology, but very rare. But I came here because somehow science and technology policy was the cross-cutting issue of all these diverse experiences that I had throughout the world. So, a short introduction about DLAB. DLAB is led by Professor Kyung-Yeol Park, who is over there. Hello. Okay, so if you go to our website, DLAB, if you just search on Google DLAB, if you look at our resumes and CVs, you'll have a very stronger idea of the question, why are these people here? Why are these people in the same department, let alone in the same lab? So our professor is the lead in this. He has taken a very diverse journey in terms of disciplines and also in terms of career paths. So we are composed of one professor, Professor Kyung-Yeol Park, 4 PhD students, and 3 master students, and growing. So basically, DLAB stands for Development Innovation, Digital Inclusion, and Data Ingenuity. But let's just go into what we do directly. So if you ask one of these questions, or 2 of these questions, or all of these questions, then you probably belong at DLAB. So basically, in a nutshell, this is a very good picture that drawn by our own member, Junho Kwon. If your research inquiry fits into about 2 of these categories, then you're a very good fit for our lab. We have 1 in technology, 1 in governance, and 1 in development. So in my case, I was very interested in development and governance from my background, but now moving towards technology. So any of these keywords that, or not, some maybe not included, but if you're interested in these keywords, then consider DLAB. Okay, so but a lot of the questions about which lab or which professor to choose is not about what we actually do or what we research. That can be seen easily in the web pages, but the point of having an offline or an online is to give you messages that cannot be done on the web page. So recently we realized that the common element, although we have come from very diverse fields and experiences, the common element of DLAB members is to deconstruct what's thought of as being granted. As you know, of course it's that way, but deconstruct something that is taken for granted, redefine it in your own way, and demonstrate that the new definition works in real life. So that's basically what we do in terms of, in abstract terms, at DLAB. So moving on to my second part of my little talk, how to apply and what to do or not to do for a PhD program. Okay, so I think the applying for a PhD at STP comes down to about 3 things. Statement of purpose, which is very important, contacting the tentative advisor, and the interview. Okay, for the statement of purpose, it's composed of 3 aspects: background, research interest, and research plan. Okay, very simple. So background is not your autobiography. You don't need to tell, where you were born, what kind of child you were. It's not very important, but really pick and choose your experiences that are relevant to your research and your research question so that the reader of your SOP knows why you applied to SOP, what led you here. And don't be worried that, oh, if I talk about my experience here, it doesn't really fit with STP. You really don't have to. We are a very open group. We actually very encourage people to come with diverse backgrounds and diverse experiences and unexpected experiences to to um, to to become an even more diverse group. So if you're new, if you're unexpected, if you think you don't really fit, then maybe you're in the right place. Okay. But by the way, for the next part of the interview, the professors really do read your SOP quite intensely before coming to the interview. So so put your time into it. So the statement of purpose for research interest. So if your girlfriend asks you or your boyfriend asks you, why do you love me? It's not, you don't say because you love me. So, you don't say I'm interested because, you're interesting. No, your research interest is like the question asked by your girlfriend or boyfriend has to be structured. It has to have structure, why you're important to me, what our relationship has gone so far, and why that is not enough, and why I intend to keep going for more. So it's a PhD program. It's 4 or 5 years at least. So your research interest should be encompassing enough to show that you have thought thoroughly about this, that this question will drive you for the next 4 to 5 years. So, so the research interest is really shows you, that you know what you're getting into. Also, the research plan is a lot of applicants think that it should be really fixed, like a contract. It's not. It should be flexible, but just demonstrating that you're driven about this object or artifact or research topic is sufficient. If it changes afterwards, fine. But if it's so under thought that it really seems unstructured, then you're probably in the red zone. Okay, so contacting the tentative advisor is it's not a test of competence. Some people don't get in, some people get in, but it's all about fit. Whether you fit with the lab, whether you fit with the professor, or your methodology is compatible, and the test is mutual. So you're not only being tested, you're also testing the tentative advisor if he or she is going to be helpful for the next 6, 5, or 4 years. Okay, but you have to ask some key questions about philosophical approach. If you have fundamental philosophical differences, then probably not a good fit. And methodologies used in the lab, they are diverse. So get a know-how. And also maybe if it's applicable, about some theoretical framework that is used in the lab. And also in the interview, basically, I think it comes down to two things. The professors ask you whether you, as I've said, whether you have really thought about this, about your research question, and whether you are driven enough, whether you're motivated enough to pursue this research question for the next 5 years. And tips for applying, just a tip: practice twice at least. First, on someone who has no idea what you're doing. So a 5-year-old, 7-year-old, fine. Someone who doesn't care about you, fine. And also on someone who has done this before, a PhD student or a potential professor that you may know. Also, remember that it's your research, and the worst case scenario is not failing admissions, but and being ended up in a place where you do what you don't want to do all the time. So, but I think STP is a place where you can do what you wanted to do and what motivates you for a very long time. So I think that's it from my part, and thank you for listening.
Right then, thank you, Kevin. Now we'll be moving toward our main major segment of the session where we'll be inviting professors to introduce their labs and research work. So I will be inviting Professor Moon Choi first to introduce the Aging and Technology Policy Lab. Dear Professor Choi.
Okay, I don't do Insta, but I tried to make it look like Insta. So our keyword is about aging, disability, marginalized people, social welfare, AI, new technology, evidence-based policy making, and data science. So our lab is really focused on demographic changes and emerging technology, and then how we can provide, concise evidence to develop some policies, especially for older people, people with disabilities, and also women, etc. So we really focus on people, not just technology, and then we try to develop some critical thinkings toward the technology policy. So here are the examples of our the recent graduates. So Cheon Park, actually I'm affiliated with the data science, graduate school of data science. So we use data very intensively and quantitative studies. So she got the 10 years of the publication from the General Technology Journal, and then applied the machine learning techniques, and then explore the life domain in the field. And also Dr. Sang Kyung-bang, and she's now working at Atri, and her research topic is about ageism in software industry, how older, developers can work with the younger generation. And also Eun-chan, she's now currently the doctoral student. Her master's thesis was about gender disparity in experience of being hacked using the Twitter data. Actually, this paper just accepted a top journal, so I'm so happy to announce that. And so here are the examples about our the research, and we are very active in getting the external funding, also conducting a research project. And currently, we are doing 4 different research projects. The first one is about National Research Foundation grant, and so using AI and gamification, we tried to help older people to learn how to use digital the devices and services. And second one is about mobility innovation, because in rural area, there are no public transportation or very limited public transportation. So with Professor Dassom Lee and engineering professors, we are developing a new mobility system using AI and also the the economy. And also we started this the Alpha H project, and this is about the care technology, because the Korean government really pushed forward the age tech policy. So there are many different the technology to help and reduce the care burden. So we are working the Seoul National University and Jungwon University on this project. And also we are very active in the UN project, and I work with Professor Dasom Lee and Eun-chan, and Wan is doing great job about leading this equality project. And it's about the gender equality in ICT, the field. And then we are currently working on the research report, and then we'll launch the report in Switzerland in this summer in the ITU event. So these are the activities we are doing. And students to come to our lab have opportunity to work for the project, also have opportunity to advance their methodological skills, and also be a part of the many good seminars, etc. Thank you.
Thank you, Professor Choi. Next, I would like to invite Professor Seong Joon to introduce the Technology and Social Imagination Lab. Thank you.
Very little information on the slide. I was told to make one slide, so I just and I didn't have a good image to go in. So when I was walking toward the building in the morning, I took a photo from the the entrance of the building. I somehow thought that's a good photo. You see the sculpture there, the new sculpture, that may symbolize the human conditions, human struggle in this world, because some of the questions that I'm interested in are, for example, the why technologies do not always improve human conditions. Of course, we'd like to improve human conditions, with technologies and with policies and with other efforts. But sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. And I'm interested in the different ways in which technologies are mobilized to improve human conditions. And if it works well, that's great. But if it doesn't, well, why is that? And I would like to find out the many different forms of relationships between technology and society. And myself and also my students work on different kinds of technology. So so it can be many different kinds of technology that we can work on. And it's related to the second question, the how technology and society can be otherwise. I don't think there is only one best way to develop technology, design technology, and use them in societies. There can be many different ways to design and use technologies. And I'm interested in exploring other possibilities and try to experiment with other modes of relationship or interaction between technology and society. So these are very broad questions, but the specific research topics can vary according to students' own research interest. But as a group, we are all interested in improving human conditions with or without technologies. Then in doing so, we try to pay attention to the actual practice of designing, working with, and using technologies, and the experiences of engineers, scientists, and users and citizens. And we're interested in the visions and discourses about how to conceptualize technology and use technology. And then, of course, the tensions that arise from that process. It's not always a smooth process of applying technologies to society, and there can be many tensions, conflicts, and controversies. Those are very generative sites for research writing. And then when we do research, it is these are all very abstract. Then sometimes we work with the documents, historical documents, contemporary documents, media documents. But at other times, we work directly with artifacts. We would work with artifacts, observe them, and then try them. And then we can also do interviews with people, engineers and scientists, but also policymakers and users and citizens and all different kinds of people involved in the process of using technology. And then at some field works participating in the process of designing and using technology. So you can employ different kinds of research methods in exploring these questions. Thank you.
Thank you, Professor CJ. And now I would like to invite Professor Soyoung Kim. We also call her as our mother of the STP department to come and introduce the R&D Policy Lab. Thank you.
Hello, everyone. These are the questions I have thought in my research and also in teaching and advising. And I don't really have a website for my lab, or I'm very hesitant to use any digital thing. I enjoy questions, but just today, while I was doing something else, I got reminded of the Nobel speech of our first Nobel Prize winner in literature, Hangang. And she says each time she works on a novel, she endures the questions. She likes to live inside them. And when she reaches the end of these questions, is when she reaches the end of the writing process. By then, she is no longer the same person as when she began. I guess when we ask these questions, it's not really about answering the questions, but rather finding another questions, a series of questions which continue to challenge us as a scholar and also as a practitioner, And as just an ordinary citizen living at the interface of many things, including science and technology, past and politics, especially tomorrow, we'll be observing a huge shift. And that's going to have an enormous impact on all these questions. And then I have done a lot of research projects and written reports, and these are some of the samples of what I have done so far. And my students have been working on all these projects and also written many papers and essays like on the topics like space policy, biotech. I have actually got the list like renewable and nuclear energy and etc. So because I don't have many communication tools, just send me an email if you have any questions. It's on the first page, the previous page.
Thank you, Professor Soyoung Kim. Next, I would like to invite Professor Hyung-Suk Kim to introduce the economics lab.
So definitely it's not music class. So, but I'm going to start with the Künstlerfuge in German and roughly translated the artful. So, I mean, why I bring up this the Künstlerfuge, because this is the, I mean, let me introduce some brief knowledge of the music. So this fugue is kind of musical form, but basic idea is the contrast between separate independent voices. Okay, so but the thing is that largely the music is rule bound. So, but I mean, this is the last piece of Bach, Johann Sebastian Bach, but he himself breaks this rule bound music and he insert himself his name, Bach. I mean, you see, B flat and A, C, B, but it's B flat. But in German, B flat is equivalent to B, A is A, C is C, and B is H. So his name. And then mysteriously, once he inserted his name in this music, he died. So the idea, I mean, this tragic idea, I mean, has been, I think, still formulated as the idea of self-reference. Okay, so, but I mean, thing is that the self-reference idea was basically popularized by a very famous book by Douglas Hofstadter, Gather Ashfall, and he actually popularized this idea of self-reference. Okay, so then next slide is but I mean, self-reference idea appears in variety of fields. One field is that actually mathematical logic. And you might know Bertrand Russell, but he is basically known for his paradox. I mean, the idea is that, if you define the set, I mean, here is A prime. A prime is the actually contain all set that are not members of themselves. So idea of self-reference is here formulated as themselves. Then what happens? As you see, if you assert that A prime is the included contained in A prime, then you got paradox and otherwise. Okay. Then another historical fact. I mean, this is more like emblematic of the so-called mythological property. I think you might see it at the Kumai. And so the basic idea, mythological problem, so just the mythological property or semiotic property, basically consists of the two main ingredient. One is that actually symbol, right? I mean, you might know constellations and sunspot. And also second thing is that to self-proving property, and I'm going to explain it in following slide. And next one, yep. And there is another one, is mania. This is a speculative frenzy in the 17th century. And certainly, tulip is the intrinsically useless asset. The price is going to skyrocket and collapse, like today's Bitcoin, okay? Then, this is very famous one, Merton's prophecy, and he preferred Corey and the Thomas theorem, and ideas the man defines situation as real, they are real in their consequences. Okay, so one notable example is the exam neurosis. If you are going to, worry about, next week, the calculus exam, then actually you are going to fail because your worry makes you spend more time on your own worry, okay? So here is the R&D policy. So what is R&D policy? It's a standard R&D policy. This is the bottom as I think in a nutshell, promote R&D intensity. What is R&D intensity? Ratio of the, R&D investment to R&D stock. R&D investment is viewed as commercialization of patent. R&D stock is the just stock of patent. Then our predictive labs thesis is that any R&D policy showing cavalier disregard for the human, social, psychological factor described above, such as self-reference methodological property, S-price bubble, self-proof property, etc., and destined to flop unambiguously. Okay, so that's the I think the message of our lab. Probably I think our lab is a stage of recruiting, and so that's why my presentation is taking the form of a lecture. And thank you.
Thank you, Professor. Next, I would like to invite our founding father of Graduate School of Science and Technology Policy, Professor Bumsun Park. Please come and introduce the history of Science and Policy Lab. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Bumsun Park, and I have only one slide. It's made by my student, which is much better than I would do. And well, I'd like to give a little bit of a reflection on STP. It has been really a great pleasure to be around and working with fantastic colleagues. And everyday conversation is really good. And also, I feel really privileged to work with really good students and getting better and even greater, day by day and then semester by semester. And at the end of their graduate years at STP, they're really fantastic. And so it's a real privilege for me to work with them. And my students are coming from very diverse background, ranging from physics, chemical biology, biological science, immunology, to sociology, anthropology, international relations, and law. You can imagine. So it's hard to make a lab in a sense that we have a real one methodology to tackle all the problems. So we rather have it as a team. You can imagine a basketball team. Some people are doing really well in rebounding. Some people are doing shooting, passing, blocking, and many other functions, but playing as a team. And so it's wonderful to see how the people from, students from different background communicating with each other, giving comments and then criticizing with each other in a very friendly but very tense way. So that's how we feel, how we learn from with each other. And so one thing that I can say, and not just so I wouldn't say that my lab, but my team, I can say if you want to really feel what it's like a academic experience, come to STP. You will see how you can be collegial, but at the same time, how you can be very critical, but end up being really good friends. And so that's how we do. And my interest is, well, of course, I'm interested in how to make good policies related to science and technology, but I'm more interested in the root causes of the problems. Okay, what are the problems, and then what made it a problem, and then how we can trace back sort of a genealogy of the problems, and then hopefully we can see some of the solutions out of that kind of explorations. It's so it can be, I say that the history of science and policy. Science has history, so does policy. Policy has its own history. And in other sense, in other words, you can go back to like 10 years old or 20 years, or way back to 50 years ago to see some of the context where the really difficult policy questions arise. And then so that's how we do. And then at the moment, I'm working on a couple of the major topics. One is Anthropocene. Anthropocene is the state of a planetary crisis caused by human activities. So all kinds of crises. It's not just one crisis like climate change, but it's very complicated and intertwined situations. And then we are tackling that. And then also at the moment, we are also working on synthetic biology and engineering, and such as biofoundry, and then how to make a better governance, and then what are the problems and the challenges with the development of AI being applied to biological sciences, and at the very cutting edge. This is what's playing out at the moment. And there are many other issues, and I would allow students to come up with good idea, good topic, difficult questions. And then I will see whether you can graduate within time. I mean, it is so my role as an advisor is to assess whether this is a good enough topic to graduate, and then thereafter, it's all your life. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Professor Park. Next, I would like to invite our superstar of our professor, Professor Dasum Lee, to come and introduce the AI Cyber Physical Systems Policy Lab. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Dasum Lee. I am, I guess, the PI of AI and Cyber Physical Systems Policy Lab. I know it's a little mouthful, but that was basically the most abbreviated way that I could come up with. So we study how AI-related infrastructures address and promote social and environmental sustainability. And we specifically focus on energy technologies and transportation technologies. So energy technologies being smart meters, smart grids, renewable energy technologies like solar and wind, and transportation technologies such as automated vehicles, self-driving cars, unmanned aerial vehicles, the drones, and we're also looking at data centers. So in doing that, we work with Professor Choi on the transportation aspect, and we also work with Professor Park on the climate change mitigation aspect. We use mixed methods. We use both quantitative, which meaning statistics, and qualitative methods, which means if you join my lab, you are expected to learn statistics, but you're also expected to be trained in conducting qualitative research. So that I don't really do ethnography. I think that's a bit too much for me because it's just a bit too difficult. But I do qualitative interviews and public policy documents, which you can also use for content analysis, text analysis, and so on. We use surveys, digital data, public policy documents, interviews, etc. And current projects, we have clean energy conservatism, for which Ubam is the first author. He's not here. He's one of the organizers of this event. One of my students is the first author. I'm almost done. Sorry. We also have a paper in R&R. Again, UBAM is one of the authors on data centers and environmental regulations. We look at automated vehicles, trust and acceptance, and the related social issues related to AVs, such as safety, privacy, sustainability challenges. So if you are interested in these issues, then you can send me an email or you can talk to me after this session, and then we'll talk much more in detail. Thank you. I'm sorry.
Lastly, I would like to invite Professor Wu to introduce the Organization of Science and Innovation Lab.
Hello, I'm the last person, right? Okay, hi, nice to meet you guys. My name is Hyun. So today, I just, there's told me just one slide, so I put pretty much everything here. It looks pretty messy, but basically my research interest is, I guess, threefold. One is trying to understand the production of science, production of knowledge, but in the end, it is us human that produce knowledge. So I'm interested in generation production of scientists. How can we sustainably produce next generation of scientists? And in doing so, we look at the careers, publishing careers of scientists that we can construct from the publication data, and we can see whether we see differential career outcome for different type of scientists, such as PI type of scientists, lead scientists, or more kind of supporting scientists that are doing like technical work, right? And I'm also interested, you can construct also genealogy, and we can look at the family level, and we can see how knowledge vertically transmits from the PI to students, and how that explains also kind of ecology of knowledge. How does that explain kind of a knowledge space that is populated by these kind of large families, right? And I'm also interested in kind of a governance of science, more broadly, the norms of science that regulates our scientists' behavior, in particular by looking at the kind of stuff that we don't want to see, like misconducts. For example, notable misconducts that we know from the Huang's case or the Yan's case in the superconductor. And how can we, by understanding their kind of misconducts, how do we understand how do we more effectively govern the science, especially in the midst of increasing technology that can be useful in producing knowledge, but also that can be very dangerous in manipulating the knowledge production. Also, my last slide is kind of my geeky kind of a Friday night project that I do with still the colleagues in the U.S. I'm really interested in like history of science, also history of knowledge in general. So what you can also nowadays, thanks to the kind of a democratization of, I guess, the computations, you can really look deeply into the relationship between historical figures. So, for example, you cannot really see it, but you can look at the Isaac Newton and Leibniz. As we know, they're competitor. They're both influenced, but we can also infer their relationship looking at the Wikipedia text, and we can create giant social network, and we can see what are the relationships were like between these great scientists, but also artists, painters, and all these different kind of cultural producers. And by understanding this kind of social network structure, we can think about how that explains why certain fields produce very innovative knowledge, and why certain field didn't. Okay, so and also I think they put me what kind of project that I did, and I thought that was kind of real project. So I put this very boring government project, but yeah, my research interest generally more kind of a social science, but I do more practical stuff. For example, like last year I did 외국인 연구자 지원 사업, like supporting international scholars in Korea, but also nowadays I'm doing this 12대 전략기술 특허 추출 알고리즘 개발 및 인력 지도, like this kind of stuff for the government, the ministry. Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Professor. It was supposed to be our last talk, but we have special guest speaker, Professor Kyung-Ryun Park, to come and introduce your lab as well.
안녕하세요. Hi. So my name is Kyung-Ryun Park. I finally just I was able to just make it on time, but I didn't want to stop, the Kevin's presentation. So, building on the very, wonderful presentation on my lab by Seung-Hyun, I'd like to just introduce, the current wonderful members. So Kevin Seung-Hyun is currently working for the issue of technological sovereignty, and also Chunho, who graduated from the quantum and nuclear engineering from KAIST, and then Chunho is working on the science diplomacy issue. And Rihanna, originally from France, she's working on the AI governance issue and comparative study on the LLM strategy between France and Korea. And also Tika, original from Indonesia. He's working on the ICT policy in Indonesia, in the context of Indonesia. And Sahi, she's working on the, broadly speaking, ICT implications in the global development. So we have a very good mixture of the different cultural background and also academic background. So please refer to the lab website for more information. And thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you, Professor. Right then, two of our professors could not make it today for the info session, and I'll briefly introduce their labs. So the Philosophy of Science and Technology Policy Lab by Professor Grant Fisher focuses on investigating how cutting-edge developments in the science and technology emerge alongside and shape societal values and innovation policies. It does so from the perspective of philosophy of science in practice and integrated history and philosophy of science. They focus on exploratory forms of scientific research, methods and models, for example, past and present, in areas such as regulatory, toxicology, pharmacology, and biomedical science. And lastly, the best lab of STP, my lab, Slow Disaster Lab. My professor couldn't make it today. I'll shortly explain it. So our team focuses on various research interests under the big theme of disaster, which builds slowly and it is often relevant to structural violences and inequalities. Several subtopics include smart cities, urban infrastructure, power dynamics, nuclear policy, and relationship with non-human species in Anthropocene, memorialization as a process of healing and recovery, material politics, and waste. So our group is open to multiple research methodologies, including historical archival work, ethnographic work, and artwork. Both of these professors are currently on sabbatical, and if you're interested in their work, you can refer to their website and the STP website as well. Both of them will be returning to the school later this year. Right then, so we're moving towards to the last part of our session, the Q&A, and I'll just take a minute's break to regroup the rearrangement, and I'll invite all the professors to come on the stage so that we can have the Q&A. Thank you. All right, then we have arrived at the final part. So first I will be asking the question that have been already submitted by the students. So each professor can answer it, or some professors can answer it, it's up to you. But I would want it to be as quick as possible so that we can open the floor for live Q&A. So the first question is, what kind of work does STP do? And we get to hear a lot of this question. What are we? What do we do? And you're welcome to answer the question.
I feel the question is too broad. I don't know what the definition of work here. If it's about research, I think we discussed already. So maybe we move to the next question.
So all professors can answer this question in one word. What is the most important characteristic that you look for in an STP student candidate? Really?
Diversity,
Right.
persistence,
Passion,
I think graduate.
Tolerance to uncertainty.
One word.
Tolerance.
Solitude,
inquisitive.
Time management.
Oh, 2 words.
One word. Right then, the next question is, how could students connect a non-STP background to STP research? And I would want Professor Bumson Park to begin with this answer.
What is the question?
How could students connect a non-STP background to STP research?
Oh. Well, follow good advice from your advisor. I mean, no one coming to STP with a STP background, I would say. So don't worry, and then just be prepared and then be ready to do something really challenging ones. Real taste of graduate life. It's not easy, but it's interesting and exciting. And actually, that's my question. Answer to the first question. Something interesting is about STP.
Anyone else would like to answer the question, or should we move on to the next question? Next question, right. So the next question is, how will the STP minor program help us with the admission and research?
I'm the head of the STP minor program, and we all welcome you with open arms. So do join us. We have our own STP minor room where you can go and study. They got Haribos there, like little packets, for free. And STP minor is really great in terms of getting the basic understanding of what STP is, what kind of research we do. Through your minor, you can also get internship opportunities with whoever you want. You can go and talk to the professors that you're interested in and ask if they have internship. That's a little too much. If they have internship opportunities available for you. But most importantly, STP minor is just the beginning, and you do not have to have a minor or any background in STP to apply. And we welcome everyone. And one thing that I actually didn't get to say during my talk is that one thing that I'm really proud of STP community is how kind everyone is and how nice everyone, how genuinely nice these people are, like the students and the professors. So do not be scared, just come and talk to whoever you want. That's why we're here today. And I hope we get to meet a lot of people here.
Thank you, Professor. So the next question was about job opportunities available after graduation, and I think this was already answered by Professor Choi in her talk. So we'll just move forward with the open live Q&A, and you're welcome to ask questions.
So if you have any questions, please raise your hand. We'll pass on the mic to you. 그리고 한국어로 질문하셔도 됩니다. 한국어로 하시고 싶으시면 손 들어주세요.
Hi, thank you for introducing STP. So I had one question about the job opportunities. So it looks like STP has a lot of international students in masters and PhD, but like in the future job placement, most of the examples were Koreans. So I was wondering, what type of job placement does international graduates from KAIST STP gets into usually, or any good examples?
I can say only with example. As I said, I have a privilege of working with a really excellent group of students, and then one of them was a recent master's graduate who worked on urban agriculture policy, and she did a wonderful job, and the paper is going to come out. And after, she's an American, and then after that, she came back to the United States, and she is working for, within White House, there is a OSTP, Office of Science and Technology Policy, and then underneath there is a kind of a think tank research group on global change research, and then she is hired as a researcher, and I think she has been doing really well until the current president came to the office, and then have a little bit of an issue of all the people in the government. But anyway, that's one example. But I know what you mean by as a student from other countries. It's a bit difficult to find the job in Korea. I wouldn't say it's impossible. But I think you have to have a certain level of a Korean language to be on the job, and then having your language skill as a real advantage. And so there are a number of possibilities. I know some of the foreign students going to international organizations. That's obviously one path, and we encourage them to do that. But there are some other possibilities.
Next questions, please. Oh, sorry.
Another example might be we have a master's graduate, a student who graduated from a master's program, then returned to his country, UAE, and is now working as a high-ranking government official on the science and technology affairs at the vice minister level. So some students return to their country and to take jobs there. Maybe some students may choose to stay in Korea and then take jobs. So I think there are opportunities.
Hello. I wanted to ask two questions. First of all, is this like the Zoom video is recorded? Because it's recorded. Thank you. The second question is, to the to the head of the minor of STP program. I'm really sorry, I didn't remember your name. But when I'm freshman right now, and when I was applying to KAIST, I had a dream to just get a job in, like, to use the growing potential of AI and big data to handle some kind of like green energy problems. And I think that your topic of research really relates to me. But I think that it's never like early to start my way to this path. And how can I, as a freshman in my like undergraduate studies, improve myself in this way to, like, in the future, for example, to get this graduate program?
Send me an email. We can organize an internship for you.
Okay, thank you.
저 한국어로 혹시 질문해도 괜찮을까요? 그 공대생으로서 졸업을 해서 만약에 STP로 가게 되면 지금까지 쌓았던 뭔가 과학적인 거에서 좀 큰 변화라고 생각을 할 수 있을 것 같은데 저희가 대학원에 가서도 이 공대적인 그런 방법론을 쓰는지와 이런 공대적인 부분과 이런 폴리시 부분의 비율을 굳이 만약에 표현을 하신다면 어느 정도라고 저희가 생각하면 되는지 혹시 궁금합니다.
아, 네. 좋은 질문 너무 감사하고요. 저희 그 패컬티 멤버 중에서도 전기공학, 화학공학, 화학, 생화학 등 여러 가지 이제 그 이공계 이제 전공을 가진 분들 계시고요. 그래서 결국에는 이제 우리는 사회 현상을 공부하고 또 정책을 공부하는 입장이기 때문에 그 학부에서 어떤 그걸 하셨든지 뭐 사실은 뭐 어떤 관점에서 모든 게 다 도움이 될 거라 생각하고요. 저희들의 사실 그 소셜 엑스페리먼트는 필드잖아요. 세상이기 때문에 그런 관점에서 생각하시면 좋을 것 같고, if I just may just explain in English, myself also I did a chemical engineering, and then there was some point I did some kind of epistemological turn from the engineering student to be a social scientist. But at the end of the day, you need both. So we are really aiming for the mixed method and the multidisciplinary approach. So that's why I think any type of major maybe would be beneficial for your future study.
그 질문이 굉장히 공대적인 질문인 것 같은데, 그 어느 정도 포션으로 그 사용되는. 근데 그 제가 하고 싶은 말은 공대에서 배운 거는 굉장히 귀중한 도메인 널리지가 될 거다. 근데 그거를 어떤 식으로 볼 건지는 여기 와서 배우면 됩니다. 그러니까 너무 걱정하지 않고 공학 열심히 공부하면 됩니다.
Thanks a lot for the very informative session. It helps me a lot. And since you repeatedly mentioned in the session that STP has very diverse background and also methodology is also diverse. And I think that is one of the reason I really attracted to STP. But I already has a little concern about like this interdiscipline background, since I already have an interdiscipline background. So I'm worrying about that when I graduate, how can I get my professionality and how can I get my identity on certain departments? So, and I'm really curious that how faculty and the students deal with this kind of problems. Thanks.
Okay, so I think the structure of disciplines haven't changed a lot. So it's very important to have a very deep answers about important questions. So these days, you probably see that like many universities have some department without any major. So I think it's not just about the specific disciplines. It's more about how competent you are and how you answer questions very well. But we started this STP in 2009. So we are about 16, 17 years old. So at the beginning, we had similar questions, but we don't ask that question any longer because it's not about the identity as a discipline. It's more about the identity of the value and or questions. So as long as you are doing great about solving social problems, you don't need to worry too much about professionalism, I think.
네, 한국어로 질문드리도록 하겠습니다. 저는 사실 현재 카이스트 학생은 아니고 유니스트에서 원자력공학과 경영과학을 복수 전공하고 있는 학부 4학년입니다. 저희 학교 같은 경우에는 과학기술 정책을 연구하시는 사실 학부나 대학원이 없다 보니까 주변 사람들이나 또 교수님들께서 사실 과학기술 정책 분야에 관심이 있어 하는 저를 이해를 못 하시는 것도 있고, 제가 설령 정책을 하고 싶다 하더라도 그 왜 공학적인 이점을 가지지 않고 기술 쪽을 대학으로 그러니까 대학 학위를 받으려 하는지 모르겠다는 의견을 좀 많이 받았었는데, 제가 생각하기에도 이제 과학기술을 연구하기 위해서는 물론 정책적인 지식도 중요하지만 사실 모든 자연과학이나 공학에도 다 학사로 끝나는 게 아니라 석사, 박사가 있는 게 더 심층적인 지식을 요구한다 생각하는데, 그럼 과학기술정책대학원에 제가 이제 학, 학사는 공대에서 받고 석사, 박사를 과학기술정책대학원에서 박사학위를 받는 것이 단순히 학사, 석사, 박사를 모두 공학을 하고 난 다음에 기회를 다른 기회를 통해서 정책 연구원이 되는 것과 비교해서 어떤 이점이 있을지가 좀 궁금합니다.
그, 어, 두 가지로 현재 그 출연연 정책연구소에 있는 사람들이 커리어가 생긴 것 같아요. 대부분 예를 들어서 키스텝 같은 데는 이공계 출신 박사까지 하고 그런 다음에 거기서는 워낙 이제 수요가 많으니까 정책 연구소의 연구원으로 들어온 이공계 박사들이 많고요. 근데 스테피 같이 이제 과학기술정책연구소 거기는 이제 사회과학자들도 많고요. 그리고 둘 중에 어느 게 더 나은가 그 우리가 이제 2009년에 생겨가지고 과학기술 정책을 대부분 언더에서 과학기술 한 사람들이 와서 하잖아요. 근데 기존에 프랙티컬하게 얘기했을 때 과학기술 정책을 한국에서 하는 사람들의 대부분은 과학기술 정책이란 어떤 디서플린을 가지고서 한 사람들보다는 일단은 이공계 박사들이 여기저기 지천에 널려 있으니까 거기서 이제 당장 출연연에서 예를 들면은 표준연이든 화학연이든 당장 뭐 정부 대응을 해야 되고 그러다 보니까 그 사람들이 정책실에 가가지고 그런 자기들의 어떤 정책 엑스퍼티지를 현장에서 체득을 한 사람들이 많거든요. 그래서 저희 대학원에 나중에 이제 석사만 했던 사람들은 박사로 오기도 하고 그게 결국은 개인의 초이스긴 한데 조금 더 학문적으로 하려면은 이제 석사부터 와서 하는 게 좋지 않나. 근데 그냥 키스텝 같은 데나 아니면 정책 연구소 같은 데 우리 출연연에 가가지고 만약에 궁극적으로 그런 데 하려면은 박사까지 하고 할 수 있지만 이공계 박사를 한다는 건 굉장히 그것도 타임 컨수밍 하잖아요. 그래서 뭐 어떻게 보면 중간적으로 해서 석사까지 하면 굉장히 도메인 날리지가 훨씬 더 많아지니까 학부 때보다. 그러고 박사를 하는 것도 옵션인 것 같아요.
All right, then we can just take one last question.
네,
Two more.
저 한국어로 질문드리겠습니다. 그 마이너 프로그램 얘기가 나왔는데 전 마이너 프로그램이 뭔지 처음 들어봐서 좀 설명 좀 해주면 좋을 것 같고요. 그리고 그 입학 전에 약간 인턴십 같은 거 몇 달 정도 경험해 볼 수 있는 시간 기회도 있나 좀 궁금합니다. 예.
마이너 프로그램은 저희가 지금 18학점을 저희 부전공, 학부 부전공입니다. 그래서 저희가 18학점을 들으면 이제 저희가 부전공을 이제 했다고 이렇게 서티피케이트 해주는 그런 거고요. 그리고 인턴십 같은 경우는 각 교수님께 이게 어프로치 하셔가지고 그렇게 커넥트 하면 될 것 같습니다.
그 다른 대학일 경우에는 교환 학생으로 한 학기 수업을 듣는 것도 하나 방법입니다. 그 학부 수업을. 그리고 물론 여기 카이스트 학생 경우에는 그냥 들으면 되고요. 그러면 조금 감을 잡을 수가 있죠.
네, 안녕하세요. 저는 학부 물리학과에서 사회물리학 공부하고 있습니다. 예를 들어 오피니언 다이나믹스나 논리니어 보터 모델 이런 걸 공부하고 이런 방법론들을 공부하고 있는데 정책 연구에서 이런 물리학에서 파생된 방법론들을 쓰는지 궁금합니다.
물리학에서 파생된 방법론이 하면은 굳이 얘기하면 그 넌리니어 다이내믹스 네트워크 이론들 좀 가는 거기서 나오는 것들이 많이 영향을 많이 줬습니다. 그래서 사회과학에서는 이미 특히 사회학 이런 데서는 메인스트림이 돼버렸고 그 네트워크 하는 것들이요. 그래서 서로 영향을 많이 주는 것 같아요. 그래서 뭐 어떤 knowledge diffusion이라는데 diffusion 하면은 이제 뭐 어떤 구조가 중요하니까 네트워크에 그러면 사람과 관계, 과학자들의 관계가 그런 소셜 네트워크가 어떤 특정 아이디어가 도미넌트해지는지 어떻게 관찰할 수 있는지 이런 것들은 기존의 사회과학자들은 봉주에 굉장히 디덕티브하게 다가가다면은 이제 물리학자들은 그 현상을 설명하려고 하니까요. 그런 측에서 많이 도움이 좀 되죠. 그리고 실제로 정책이라보다는 그냥 이 학문에서 사회과학 학문 특히 이 물리학이랑 같이 특히 통계 물리학 쪽이랑 같이 하는 학문 같이 커지고 있는 학문이 있는데 과학의 과학이라고요. 거기서도 이제 많이 서로 이제 그런 교차가 됩니다. 서로 배우고 그러고 있습니다. 네.
Final question for today.
네, 저 한국어로 질문 드리겠습니다. 이다승 교수님 연구실에 관심이 있어서 교수님 CV를 열람했는데요. 교수님께서 런던에서 경제학을 그리고 교토에서 경제학을 박사과정을 네덜란드에서 사회학을 양적 방법론으로 공부하셨다는 걸 알게 되었습니다. 그런데 약간 생뚱맞게도 스토커가 아닙니다. 생뚱맞게도 그 AI 연구를 하고 계시더라고요. 그래서 STP에서는 문과 바탕의 학생들이 저는 충남대에서 천문우주과학을 공부하고 있고요. 문과 바탕에서 많이 오는 걸로도 알고 있고 자신의 기존 전공? 예를 들어 뭐 컴공을 했든 전산을 뭐 똑똑하신 거군요. 그래서 이렇게 다른 경우가 있을 텐데 어떻게 극복을 하셨는지가 궁금하고요. 교수님들께서 마지막 질문으로 왜 지난한 이 연구들을 하고 계시는지 궁금하고요. 그리고 영어를 잘 못해도 살아남을 수 있을지 궁금합니다.
먼저 저희 연구실 얘기는 제가 괜찮으신 지금 시간이 많이 없어서 끝나고 같이 하면 부담스러워. 네. 그럼 교수님께서 이제 왜 지금 하시는 연구를 하는지 여쭤보셔서
할 만하니까요. 네, 재밌습니다. 하다 보면은 뭐 찾는 것도 있고 그러니까 하는 거겠죠. 네. 근데 그 질문도 저기 약간 역사적인 게 있어가지고 영향을 많이 받아요. 그 학생들한테도 영향을 받고 다른 교수들한테도 영향을 받고 아니면 시국에 영향을 받기도 하고 뭐 약간 뭐라고 한마디로 얘기하기 어려운 여러 가지 상황 속에서 만들어지는 거기도 합니다.
마지막에 질문하신 뭐 영어 문제 그냥 잠깐 간단하게 하면 그 석박사 단위에서 공부할 때는 사실 영어는 잘하면 잘할수록 좋습니다. 뭐 솔직히 말하면. 네. 그거는 맞고요. 그랬을 때 근데 뭐 그게 이제 대학원 시작하면서 열심히 더 영어 공부하면서 하면 안 되냐? 근데 그것도 됩니다. 네. 그것도 되고 물론 지금까지 전혀 영어에 아무런 관심이 없었다면 좀 힘들 수는 있지만 뭐 영어 공부해가면서 할 수도 있고요. 네. 뭐 약간 뭐 애매한 답이 돼버렸지만 어쨌든 요즘에 뭐 다 번역 통역해주는 것들이 뭐 많이 나와 있긴 하지만 그래도 이제 약간 뭐 옛날식 생각으로는 자기 힘으로 뭔가를 읽어낼 수 있는 그 힘이 있다면 훨씬 뭐 도움이 되긴 된다고 얘기해야 될 것 같습니다.
제가 약간 첨언하면 정 교수님 말씀 저 100% 동의하고요. 다만 이렇게 몇 분들이 이렇게 약간 고개를 딱 숙이시는 모습을 봐갖고 너무 걱정하실 필요는 없는 것 같습니다. 저도 사실은 한국에서 쭉 태어나서 석사로 30살에 거의 처음을 영어로 공부를 했는데 그치만 글쓰기와 책 읽기를 좋아하실 필요는 있는 것 같아요. 그래서 뭐 사실은 뭐 언어는 사실은 극복할 수 있는 문제이기도 하고 또 대학원 과정에서 오시면서 또 많이 리딩들이 있으시기 때문에 그때 또 하시면 되지 않겠습니다.
All right then. So as we conclude today's session, I would like to extend my heartfelt thanks to the host team for making all the arrangements, to the professors for sharing their insightful presentations, and to the participants for taking our time and coming to the session. On your way out, please don't forget to take the dinner boxes. Thank you so much. 감사합니다.